Okay, this little video is about renewable energy. This is a huge subject that you could spend your whole life studying. This is really just the brief highlights of what's on the AQA specification. So just the bare essentials to get you through the exam. What we're going to look at is different kinds of renewable energy, and then a little bit about the problems that we might have, but obviously their advantages compared with the non-renewable energy forms. So first thing it says is water and wind can be used to drive turbines directly. So wind farm here, this is an offshore one. Okay, the wind drives the turbines. Remember, the turbine is just the thing that turns. Behind here is a generator that makes the electricity. You take it back off to the land. Here's a hydroelectric power station. This is the Three Gorges Dam, the biggest hydroelectric power station in the world in China. You put a dam in the river, the water flows through the dam. As it flows through it, inside here there are turbines. These turn again, driving generators to make electricity. Okay, you don't need turbines to make energy straight from the sun's radiation, because you can use what they call photovoltaics. This is solar cells, so this is a huge solar farm covering the area of a field, somewhat crazily built in Britain. These do work quite well even on days that we might not think of as hot sunny days. There's still quite a lot of light. Obviously you'll have seen these on a lot of people's houses these days. It also mentions that small scale production might be useful, so you'll have seen these road signs, no doubt, slow down signs, where instead of having to put in long cables to bring mains electricity in, what you can do is to power them from some renewable sources. What they tend to have is a solar panel, so if it's a nice sunny day they'll work, and a little wind turbine, so on a windy day they'll work. Obviously the only problem you've got there is where it's not windy and not sunny, then you might struggle to light the sign. But if you've got both of those, you've got a pretty good chance in this country. If you can store the electricity somehow in there, then you can probably light the sign most of the time. Okay, it mentions geothermal energy. So these are volcanic areas. This is from Iceland, where you get hot lakes, naturally hot springs, because it's basically one big volcano, so people can have a nice bath in these lakes even though there's snow probably on these mountains and it's probably only a few degrees above freezing. Well, if you can harness that steam, you can use it to drive turbines again, to drive generators, to make electricity. So Iceland is the one country in the world probably which is almost totally reliant on renewable energy. It might be useful in other countries as well, because what you can do is it is always hot if you go far enough down into the Earth's crust. Radioactive decay of particles in the Earth here is heating the rocks up. So what you can do is you can drill a hole, you can drop some explosives down it to crack all the rocks, and then you pump cold water down, steam comes back up again, and again you can do that. They've tried this in this country. The only problem they find is that it works quite well for a while, but then the rocks start to cool down and it takes a long time for the heat to conduct back into the rocks, because obviously rock is not a very good conductor of heat. Biofuels you can use to heat water. So this is a rapeseed oil field. You can get the oil out of these biofuels, and you can burn that directly to heat water. Also in this country sometimes there's fast growing things like willow are grown, and you can burn those. So the problems caused, the disadvantages of these things, we think of them as not releasing carbon dioxide, which is the thing we're most worried about, into the atmosphere, not producing nasty radioactive waste. So from those point of views they're good. A lot of environmentalists used to argue for these, but actually when it comes to it you find there's lots of problems as well. So wind turbines in particular, quite noisy, produce visual pollution, so they tend to put them in nice pretty places on hills and stuff, and nobody likes that because they ruin the view. Also problems for migrating birds here, so you'll notice this is an RSPB picture of a flock of geese. Okay, there are examples apparently of migrating birds which are kind of used to flying the same routes every year. Suddenly somebody puts a wind turbine in there to try and fly between the blades. And destruction of wildlife habitats. This is an example. Here's a Severn Bridge. So they've been talking about building a barrage across here, so you can dam the river, build up a big reservoir, a big lake behind the dam, let the water flow through the dam, just like the Three Gorges is. But at the moment there are big mud flats. When the tide goes out, there are big mud flats, and they're a very important habitat for wading birds that eat all the little things that live in the mud. If you flood it behind there, then the mud will never be there, so it'll destroy the wildlife habitat of the wading birds. So renewable energy might seem to be a good environmental thing, but there are quite a lot of issues and concerns that people have about it.